All right, coaches, welcome back. It has been a long time since my buddy Paul and I have done the New Jersey High School Strength Coach podcast powered by the NHS SCA. And I'm soft. I'm just blaming it on myself. My knee getting down here. I'm finally better. And then the end of the year and the COVID restrictions being lifted got us busier. And now here we are, summer strength and conditioning. And so it's probably been like 2 months since the last podcast.
I thought we hit one right at the end of school. You got one from school there. It was
Oh,
an
you're right.
audio one.
You are correct. So it would have been mid-June. All right. So a month ago.
Yeah.
So we're like a C plus right now.
I'll take that.
Take a C plus. We're in the summer school. So for our coaches in New Jersey and really all of our coaches, involved with the NHS SCA, they heard the news of our close friend, Coach McKenna. Coach McKenna was a state director, regional director. Most of all, this guy was all heart. If you speak to anybody about Coach McKenna, man, they just, talk about this guy had the most giving heart. And so he passed away a couple weeks ago, it was, and just a shock because we're talking to him and he's talking about getting back to coaching and doing a seminar together. And just that guy was always on. And so we don't even know how to take it. Just super heartbreaking. And another lesson that how precious and short life could be. Coach McKenna was in his 60s, right?
65, I believe. Yeah. And
Yeah.
he was a legend. You talk about he was a police officer and before he even got into strength and conditioning, and he retired from there, I think early, and he started coaching football, and he started doing stuff in the weight room, and they said, "Hey, why don't you just do this full time?" And
Yeah.
man, I know you've been in there and I've been there. And if anybody's been in his weight room, it's like you walk in, it's like a museum,
Yes.
with everything on the wall and his players. And you and I saw a lot of his players there that day,
Oh,
at
wow.
his
They came in
funeral.
their football jerseys and then tons of his former
Mhm.
players showing up. The line was wrapped around the building to the parking lot. And I met Coach McKenna about 20 years ago, maybe like 19 years ago. He reached out to myself, my buddy Jason C. Brown, and Pamela McElry. And Jason and Pamela were doing a lot of kettlebell work together. Jason and I were filming DVDs. And so Coach was managing, I think it was called the Cherry Hill Athletic Club. He was
Yeah.
in charge of like their whole personal training department. And I believe it was, in early stages, strength and conditioning at Notre Dame.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, they have high school strength coaches. And he was always so cutting edge with wanting to learn, seeking out information. So he'd bring us to do clinics so he could learn. And he was so far ahead of the curve. He was doing, I remember watching him taking a group of athletes through the jump stretch bands, like the stretching program that he
Yeah.
learned from Dick Hartzell.
Mhm.
Dick Hartzell is who taught a lot of this, band distraction and tractioning to Super D, Donnie Thompson, who then taught a lot of it to Kelly Starrett. So Coach McKenna was doing this in the 90s. And I remember seeing him stretching players out. And I was like, man, I had never seen nothing like this before. He had them like pulling the bands behind their head, stretching hamstrings. And we spent a lot of time together with these seminars down at Wake Forest, speaking together. And he taught me just, you go from the heart. Like that is what you do. He would always organize things. I think I've shared this story before, Paul, but this is a good story for coaches to hear because sometimes our hearts are kind of broken when we don't get the support we wished. And so I opened up a gym in my hometown thinking I'm going to train all the kids in my hometown. And I contacted every coach, every guidance counselor, every administrator. I went to all the small businesses to see if they could hang up a little poster in their, window on Main Street, because that's what I saw other businesses doing.
Mhm.
It's like this supportive thing and nothing. couldn't give it away. Crickets, less than crickets. There weren't even crickets. And we did our first fundraiser here. I always did this fundraiser for Leukemia Lymphoma Society, so a cancer foundation. And then I wanted to do one for military, but we found out that a local football coach in Manasquan had cancer and needed help with his medical bills. And Coach McKenna brought like 30 something kids. I mean, dude, it was because of him that we packed the house.
Yeah.
And I remember Coach McKenna, brings all these kids. They come with all their parents. I get Coach in. He's got that loud voice. You could hear it like 5 towns away.
Booming.
He's like, "What do you need my help with?" I was like, "Sit here and like make sure everybody signs liability form and collects." He was like on the ball. He gets somebody to sit next to him. This person's in charge of liability forms. He's collecting money. He organizes everything. It goes in an envelope. He's got it counted. He was like a general. And he brings all these kids. We pack it in. And he's like, "Where's the Manasquan kids?" And I always say, I don't care that I mentioned the town. And I'm like, "Right there." He's like, "Where?" Looking for the team. It's 4 kids from the football team where we're doing a fundraiser for their football coach with cancer.
Yeah.
And they get 4. Coach McKenna's got like 40 something kids rolling in deep. Even before that, he brought his kids up to train at my gym, almost to like christen the place because I couldn't get members.
Yeah.
He brought, and we have it on video. It's like Notre Dame football invades the underground, and
That's
they're just,
awesome.
they're killing it. And so, lessons to me from there, Paul, is that's the kind of friend I need to be. He was always always there for somebody.
Yep.
He never asked for anything. Never. I mean, I'm not this religious guy. He was a God religious guy.
Yeah.
And he's like an angel.
Yeah.
He's out for the good of everybody.
I remember I'd stop in probably once every 2 months, and we just have a talk. And he said, I was struggling with what we were talking about today, getting some of the buy-in from some of the coaches and everything. And his advice to me was, "Hey, get involved as much as you can in the school." Like if you know Nick Maruka, Nick's mom works at the school, and he trained the priests. The priests came down and trained with him. It wasn't, it wasn't just the athletes. He was so involved, not only in the school, but the community, with training the Trenton Fire Department and, other police officers, the academy kids. I mean, he even knew the people on the telephone crew. I remember walking in there one day and he had a telephone pole in there. I'm like, "Coach, what is this?" He goes, "I know some guys on the telephone crew. They cut it up for me and we do log carries."
Yes.
I'm like, "Coach, you're the man."
He was a
beast. His advice was just be involved in as much as you can in your school and your community, and you'll never know where you get your kids from or when they're going to show up at your door. But
right.
And that's something I always take with me, is how much can we do. And when Jeremy Boone had us do our Desire to Lead stuff, one of the things we had to do was a community service project, and his words were always in my mind. What can we do? And we did something for the food bank in town, and I think we raised over 1,300 pounds of food.
Oh, I saw you guys. What were the kids doing? Bringing in bags? Or
they were bringing in bags. I mean, we were just having kids and coaches and parents. Even last minute, parents were backing their van into the up to the weight room, and we're just bringing food in. And my truck was doing a wheelie. We had so much food in there, but the whole time, I had coaches' words in my mind, and knowing he was a little bit sick at that time. Didn't know how sick he was, but
I didn't know either. He kept coaching through this until he hit a wall. And it was like, even while he's in the hospital, I think he was still posting his stuff to Instagram. I'm sure his daughter was helping. Yeah. I've known his daughter, Lindsay, for a long time. But he was so set on like coaching and changing lives.
Mm-hmm.
And just the things you said, I'm remembering when I first met him, early 2000s, 02, 03, he had a sand pit and he had tires and he was making Atlas stones. Yeah. Let me tell you, for those listening, for some of you listening, in 2003, you may have been 10 years old. You know what I mean? You may have been
Yeah.
even an elementary school kid. He was doing things. There was no YouTube in 2003, guys. Like, he would kind of hear about what somebody was doing, knew about what somebody was doing. He got an idea and it was over.
Yeah.
Like, it was happening, if he got an idea today, he made it happen yesterday.
I remember the conference you guys did at it was in Robbinsville, or
Yeah.
it was by
The
Princeton.
state.
Yeah. And he was having guys make his own cambered bars for him. Like he was
Yes.
having welders making different bars
Correct.
with different size of the camber. I'm like, who's doing this for him? And he, like you
He
said, he came up with an
leveraged the
idea.
parents. He would
Yeah.
find out if a kid would say, "Hey, my dad knows how to weld."
Yeah.
It was like, "Okay, you're going to make us a 12-foot pull-up bar, but you're going to make it 3 inches thick. We want a thick bar." He was also friends with, crap, his name always slips my mind. The guy who created the safety squat bar, who's actually a crossing guard. And his name was, dang it, I just shared his name with somebody because somebody reached out to me. So he created the safety squat bar. It was called something else. But the guy is, I'm going to use Siri while we're on it. So look,
All right.
original safety squat bar, Trenton, New Jersey. And John was like, I'll take you to visit him. So let's see, original Jesse Hoagland. It was called the Hoagland bar. And yeah, I think that guy is in his 70s. And I remember John was like, I'll take you to meet him. And I was like, oh man, I wonder what, if he's got like some, early days prototypes. I've got the earliest version. I think it's the earliest version of that safety squat bar, the Hoagland bar. And so John knew everybody. When I spoke at the North Carolina State Strength Coach Clinic, John was down there with his buddy Al Johnson,
Yeah.
who I believe they played football together.
Yep.
And Al Johnson was a college strength coach, and I think also in the NFL.
You went to
And
the
so,
Eagles, I
oh, he
think.
was with the Eagles?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you went early with the Eagles.
Eagles. I almost thought it was the Dolphins. And so Al would maybe find out about something Dr. Ken Leisner was doing. He would tell John. John would get the idea, boom, then he would run with it. And Al was so funny. He says to Coach McKenna says at the thing, he's like, I just want these young strength coaches to know the reason why we're not as handsome as they are is we played football with no face masks. That's what he said. Like, those football helmets didn't have face masks. He goes,
Leather.
that's why we're not so handsome anymore.
Yeah.
And everybody was laughing. And he toured with Hammer Strength. He would do
Yeah,
those
with Rick
hammer
Gray.
clinics, which, man, it's been a while since I've seen one of them, but Hammer Strength put on amazing, like they would do these regional educational events, and Coach McKenna would do it on a whiteboard. He'd bust out the old whiteboard, and I was going to do a staff, like a professional development day by going and hanging out with him. And that was our thing. We're like, when this COVID thing is over, I'm going to come down to your school. We're going to train. I'm going to watch. We're going to go out to eat. We're waiting for all of this
Yeah.
regulations these limitations to allow us to get together. And I remember asking him, like, Coach, are you using software? And you know what his answer is. He's like, with that voice, I'm old school, baby. He's like, I'm using the whiteboard and everything. So when we podcasted with him, Paul, it was like vibrating through the computer. And I remember I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, he must speak like this at home. Like, the coaching voice must never, like, the volume must never go down.
All caps.
So,
All caps, baby. And you know
so
that anytime he
funny.
send you a text, it was all caps.
Yeah, so funny. Yeah,
I get you.
people really such great memories. And he's set a standard, I believe, for the heart you need to be a great strength coach. Because, if you don't have that heart, I feel like you could just get caught up in the science, the
Yeah.
software, the numbers, and you forget that this is just a vehicle for helping people get better at life. I need to be more involved in my school beyond the athletics. I actually said to my department chair, like, I want to do like once a week or every other week and alternate with Mark Rosamili, like a 1-minute video that goes out to the whole district for all the teachers of like, hey, if your back hurts, here's an exercise we want you to do. You know, you're sitting all day, here's a band that, you know, I want to get the district better. And I think listening to your story of John, it reminds me, like, you got to think big.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think beyond the people just coming through those doors. You got to impact more. What, you know, let me ask you this question, Paul, because John was a regional director, correct?
Yeah.
And so what were some of the things you picked up from him? Because he was the regional, or he was a state director, then you became the state director?
No, he was the original regional director, and he
Okay.
called me to be the state director. So when we got started, all the regional directors were picked. So Rick Hughley out in California, or out in Washington, the Western. I think Nick Winkleman out in Ohio was there, and I think Mark Krissinger is now the guy. So there's been some turnover, but Coach was the original Northeast director. Now Kevin O'Neill is now the Northeast director. And I remember the call I got from him one day. He says, "Hey, listen, you've been doing this for a while, and I'd love to have you as our New Jersey state director." And I said, "Man, I'm honored." I said, from the time I heard you speak at that conference a long time ago, I've always loved what you do down at Notre Dame, and I'd be honored to work with you and help build this association. And it was awesome. And like I said, I try to go and visit as much as possible. I think talk about making connections. Last time I went to visit him, it was right after we had the lineman competition. I want to say it was before COVID. Every year he did a lineman competition. He said, the big thing was the linemen never get any accolades. So this is their day. And I brought 2 teams from Hunter and Central, and he had teams from Trenton and Camden. And
he had kids from all, I thought it was just his school versus your school.
No, it was all over the place.
Nice.
West Windsor was there. Steiner, I would say probably there was about 8 schools represented, which I'd love to do if I can put it together in the next couple of weeks, just do an impromptu one at our school.
And he did it, organized it through paper, all on paper.
Oh yeah. And he just sent out a text to the coaches he thought. And I know next year Lindsay was talking about doing a full-fledged one, the Coach McKenna memorial, strongman man, was it Mike Kubler was talking about organizing that, wasn't it? Or no, John
Kalinowski. Yeah. He's the, I guess Pennsylvania has 2 state directors, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not good with the geography. I don't know if he's west, east, or what it is, but
the contacts he made, I went there and he's like, "Here, I want to show you something." And he takes me to the one back room that was back in the back. And I guess through his Eagles, people that he knew,
yes,
he got to meet Carson Wentz, who's a very religious, young man. And they got to talk, and I guess they spoke once a week. And when Carson was changing things over in his house, he had all his North Dakota State stuff still in his basement. And Coach McKenna had a full North Dakota platform and rack.
Oh, that's right. He would get platforms from like other schools.
Eagles,
and his weight room, for those who don't know, it used to be a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
So I'm not good with history and geography and all that. So, I mean, I guess what war was that from? That's an old school.
Who knows?
Who knows? And so there's like these different rooms.
Yeah.
When I was there in the early 2000s, he had hammer strength equipment. He had like he had a row of those jammers.
He had 5 of them. Yeah.
5 of them. And so who was the guy at Nebraska that, invented that, or kind of.
Oh, with Husker Power? That was, hold on.
I don't know how I'm forgetting all these names, but that's who really popularized it. And that strength coach felt, Boyd Epley. He felt like that cannot be removed from a weight room. And so I actually just bought Sornex racks at my Manasquan location, and I wanted those jammer arms. I wanted that. Yeah, I had them at my other location, and I love that stuff. The bands attached to it. But John, I remember when he brought his guys to the gym, They were flipping the big tire. They were just crushing it, man. And
Yeah.
I think to myself, let's say I tried getting 40 kids to go to Hunter and Central. I honestly don't think they'd come with me. I don't
Yeah.
think I could get 40. It would be a good test to see if it could happen. But, you know, he, they believed in him, they believed in him. And so one of his coaches, Jason Osvart, is a strength coach for the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of his former athletes is a
Athletes.
NFL strength coach, which
He-
shows you the impact he's had on people. And so yeah, the telephone company. I remember that. Where'd you get
I
those?
walk in and
I
I'm
know.
like, "That's telephone pole." He's like, "Yep."
Yeah. Yeah, dude, so funny. He would have an idea, see something. He gifted me all of the newsletters from Dr. Ken. They were called Train Hard with Dr. Ken.
Wow.
And yeah, he gave them to me. Coach McKenna knew the way to my heart. He gave them to me, and then he goes, now we got to do a seminar, we got to do a clinic together. And I was like, I can't wait to do it. And a reminder to me is we get very busy. You and I are both dads. You've got a kid in college
Mhm.
already, and we get busy. And you got to take time for yourself. One of the coaches in our, NHS SCA posted on Twitter, and he said, he goes, you want to be, you want to have longevity as a coach, you got to get hobbies. The world will not end when you step away from the weight room for a few
Mhm.
days. He's like, I've got hobbies. I've got woodworking, fishing, hunting, this, that. He listed a few things. He's like, and I'm really happy, and I'm a better strength coach because of it. And, I look back and it's like, man, so busy all the time. I couldn't see him before COVID. COVID, of course, put so many restrictions.
Mhm.
And for the coaches out there listening, use your professional days and go visit another strength coach.
Yeah.
Spend the day and go meet a new friend.
Hey, listen, I know I saw you post your airline ticket down to Sorinex.
Yes.
Uh, I wanted to call you and say, I'm going to take some days. Let's drive down. Let's take 3 days to drive down and stop at different locations
Yeah.
and do a podcast on the way down there.
Oh, are you talking about the upcoming trip I'm doing?
Yeah, the one down
Yeah.
to Sorinex.
Yeah. So I'm going to fly on a Thursday afternoon. Then I'm doing my certification Friday, Saturday, and I'm going to fly back Sunday afternoon. Yeah, that's the thing. Look, I would drive. It's a 12-hour drive. And here I am worried about the football team, the this, the that. But here's where those things won't negatively impact. If a team is training with you year round, then you're not worried about missing a day or two.
Yep.
But when a team does not train year round, now everything's like this act of desperation. And like,
Yeah.
we can't miss a day. Oh no, you're going on vacation. Yeah, I'm taking a vacation with my wife and kids. What do you want me to do? Worry about a weight room and not spend time with, the most important people in my life? And
Mhm.
this is a thing even in the college sector. Like, you're the antichrist if you're going to go away during the sports season. And
Yeah.
so that was a big reason why we spoke about this a ways back. It's a blessing that I did not stay on as a college strength coach, because working with wrestling, your winter break, you're not going anywhere, because
Nope.
there's usually a big tournament 2 days after Christmas.
Mhm.
And then you can't go away if your kids got a week off from school or 10 days off. You can't go away with them. It's
Yep.
over. And then my kids, the school district we're in, they have a mid-winter break, mid-February, like Valentine's week.
Mhm.
And that's wrestling season in college. You can't go
Yeah.
away. And you can't pay me enough to not, to not do those things with my family. You can't pay me enough. And I
Yep.
hope the coaches out there pick up on that. I always say I'm ready to get fired for doing the right thing. So if somebody's got a problem with me for taking a vacation with my family, like, I'll give you a real story, and I have no qualms saying it. If somebody shares it, I don't care. when I got hired at this high school, Paul, my wife told me, let them know that we're away the week of that like winter break time.
Yep.
She's like, during that interview, you let them know. And we were going to Florida like on a Saturday. My school had a half day on Monday, and then school was closed, Tuesday through the end of the week.
Yep.
The half day on Monday with the strength coach schedule, I went in at the end of the day. So my last block was the assembly, the concert, this and that. So I would have had nothing. Well, I had to try to put in a personal day because I forgot to tell them I'm gone when I got hired. It was a massive problem. And the principal was all worried. The athletic director was worried. I'm like, what are they going to do? They're going to fire me because don't want my wife and kids to drive to Florida without me. They're like, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I was like, you know what? Let them fire me. I'll get fired because I want to drive with my wife and kids to Florida, 16, 17 hours. And not only that, I said, who am I hurting? Am I hurting kids? Am I doing something wrong to kids? Are they missing out on anything? They're missing out on nothing. I'm not allowed to do anything during my last block, my only block, because there's a winter concert in the gym. So when I come back from break, and then like 2 weeks later, they give you like a letter that's going to, quote unquote, go in your file. And I responded to it saying that I chose to make sure that I was taking care of my wife and kids and did not allow them to drive without me. And that vacation was planned 6 months before I was hired. And I forgot to say it. And if I was hurting kids or doing something bad, I wouldn't have done it. But in the process, nobody was hurt. Nobody lost out on anything. And so, And so for the coaches out there, there are times where you need to stand your ground, and those are those times. So, man, that's it.
I know the Beyond the Chalk that they did when they came up with you, and they did with Coach McKenna as well.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that made a big impact on me was that Cheryl said that, no matter what, every night he came home, they had dinner together. It was always, dinner as a family, no matter what. Even if he came home at 8:00 at night, they always sat down. And that's something that we don't do. I don't do, at least. We try as much as possible.
You get home late?
When I get home late, yeah, I do. But like tonight, the whole family was together early, and we had dinner together, and we sat around. And, that's we're trying to do that a lot more. So
that stuff's important. We also, I don't do it all the time, but we do it a lot. And when COVID started, I had to furlough my coaches, but we actually got pretty busy because sports, as everybody knows, was limited. So the strength and conditioning, we got busy. So I was able to bring back my coaches, and I coached at my private facility Monday through Wednesday. I did not coach Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And what that did was open up dinners, taking my daughter to tennis, watching her at tournaments, and traveling with my son to these baseball tournaments, all over God's creation.
And hey, how about meeting the Colodi family down in Point Pleasant too?
We had a meetup.
What a great night that was, right?
Yeah. We met up it's called Jenkinson's Boardwalk. Yep. And so we do that. My wife, and this will be oftentimes the case, women are going to do a better job of keeping us in check. And so Sunday I was really tired, but my wife was like, all weekend I was doing all kinds of yard work. She's like, let's go to Jenks. We'll take Ethan to the batting cages. Then they got their Zeppelis. I ate a massive burger from Gigi's that destroyed my stomach. I didn't want to eat anything, believe it or not. So we always talk about food. This burger is called the Cowboy Burger. So it's a hamburger patty. It's pulled pork, and it's those like onion rings, those string ones, and also avocado on it, which I think is what hurts my stomach. Like my stomach can't handle avocado. I don't know what kind of weakling I am, but
wait a minute.
It's yeah. I'm so
Barbecue sauce and all that meat. And then what's that for garnish? The avocado on
it's
there?
got to be. And so my stomach was destroyed after that. I almost like couldn't make it to the boardwalk. So I will never eat that burger again. But you gotta organize those things. You almost got to
Yeah.
put it in your schedule, and that way you force to do those things. And what was really attractive to me about this high school position, I'm pretty sure you go in on weekends, Paul, but I do not go in on weekends. When the school is out, like winter break, teacher convention, I'm not going to go in unless
Yeah.
I'm around. And I don't care if these coaches mother F me up and down for it. Like, I'm taking that week off so I could spend more time with my wife, my kids, take my kids to lunch, go to movies. Uh, that's it. I've been around coaching for 20 plus years, full time for about 20. And, you experience what it's like to always pour your heart and soul. And it's like it kills you when somebody still just doesn't reciprocate effort, energy, dedication, whether it's a kid or a coach.
Yeah.
And so I learned that I can't control that, but I will not go to my grave knowing that I gave more attention to the kids who are not mine. And
Yep.
my wife said to me, she's like, now that our kids are teenagers, your job is to make them beasts, not to make
Yeah.
everybody else a beast. Your priority is our kids. And so if my son is like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to the gym today with you, Dad, she's like, you need to figure out a way to get him there. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like that Bob Marley song. What is it? No woman, no man. Is that the
No, no
song?
woman, no
No
cry.
cry. No woman, no cry. And
Yeah.
it's tough, but the commitment to family is crucial. Did we interview somebody who said, you're so worried about getting more rings on your fingers, don't forget about the first ring you got?
Yeah. It may have been Jason Spray. It may have been
It
Jason who
wasn't
said that.
Jason Spray. Maybe it was somebody we heard.
Might was it, or it was that or Srock.
Srock. It could have been
Yeah.
Srock. By the way, Srock is going to stop by my certification, and I'm going to
Nice.
buy him. We're going to sit down, have a meal and a Guinness.
Hey, I went up to him at nationals out in Minnesota and gave him a big hug,
Yeah.
told him, introduced myself. He's
Oh,
like, I
you never met
remember.
him.
Yeah. What's that?
You never
I
met
met,
him. I didn't know that. So,
nope.
you feel like you know these guys.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So I met Mike through Coach McKenna when I spoke at the NC State Strength Clinic in '09, and Mike was presenting. And so Coach McKenna must have known him since who knows the
Yeah.
'90s.
They did a nice job for the Hall of Fame. With Coach, and then Coach Vanderbush was in, and they had a chair for Coach McKenna there with flowers on it, and then they had a leather bound book on a table right
Uh-huh.
outside the one hall, and you got to write a note to
Oh,
him in that leather bound book, and I think they gave that to Charles as well.
yeah.
Um, but Gary, I know Gary and Rich did a great job of honoring him and
Yes.
at the Nationals, and to be out there, everybody together again, and to have people ask how we were doing and how everything was pretty awesome. And those are the celebrations we love to have. I mean, it was such a celebration for him that day, at the funeral, and um, for those listening out there, man, it was unlike anything I've ever been to. His football team escorted him. There was no hearse. We walked him to the cemetery down a road, down the middle of a road.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yep. So when we were done, his football team escorted him out, and there was a one single bagpiper, and it led us down the road. And his football team rolled him and escorted him down. It was probably like a half a mile to the cemetery, and we all followed. It was pretty emotional, but um, to have
Uh,
everybody at the Nationals asking about us and how we were doing. I really appreciated that. I know Nick came along. He wasn't
yeah.
going to go. It was good, and we flew with Rich, and um, ended up being a great weekend. I'm really looking forward to our family day coming up.
Yeah. It's I got on my whiteboard. October 10th is our family day. It's a Sunday.
Yep.
This way, in case we have any strength coaches who are double as football coaches, I know Will Nahan up at Randolph. He used to be a athlete at my first location. He's a strength coach at Randolph. Great young kid, strong dude, like a tank. So it's
Yeah.
October 10th. We, the reason why it's not going to be at my high school is a couple reasons. It's a Sunday. I'm not sure if we have custodial staff there.
Sure.
Number one. Number two, our weight room / athletic bubble has no facilities, no bathroom, no running water, and security has it's a breach in security to leave doors open. So we wouldn't be able to leave the school unlocked because you have to leave the bubble to enter the school and use the restroom. So we're just going to do it at my Manasquan Underground Strength Gym. And afterwards, we'll grab some pizza. There's a pizzeria right across the street called Esposito's. It's going to be hopefully not raining. October is just beautiful weather. And
For
it's a
fall in New Jersey.
Yeah, fall in New Jersey is really a beautiful time. So it's going to be great. And hopefully our advisory board can all make it. So we're going to have, of course, you'll be there, Mark, Rosamilia, John Torrey, and Coach McKenna was still on board. He's on our advisory board. At Coach McKenna's funeral, one thing that I wanted to do was just remember all the fun time. Coach McKenna wanted us to celebrate his life.
Yeah.
That, I think, is what that was like a light bulb for me, is that he wants us to celebrate him and this inspiration from him and through him. And so, I will carry that forever with him. And he's the man, just was always doing and giving on a whole nother level. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, before we shut it down, I just want to encourage everybody watching to, like Zach and I did a couple of weeks ago, just get together. And it was great to meet his wife, Danielle, and see his daughter running around with their friend. And my son was running around with his buddy, and, they were taking over the boardwalk, and Zach was the mayor of Point Pleasant, athletes walking up to him all over the place. And,
that was funny.
We just had a great time. We barely talked strength and conditioning. We just talked about life, and we played the balloon pop game, and
I can't believe I lost. I get very competitive. I thought I was winning. I'm not going to get up. I'm a little bit of a sore loser already, Paul.
I am.
Some lady beat us. She just sat down and took it. I thought I had the victory. My goal, I just wanted to win. I just hate losing.
Well, what we got to do is we got to get a video next time when we go down there. We got to get video clips. We'll get video clips. Yep.
The problem is you go down there, it's like, you can lose, $40 in 2 minutes, every 2 minutes. So yeah, you'll lose a paycheck in an hour. It's worse than Atlantic City. You're right, dude. It's important to just get together and not talk about training, to just shut that off. I know we were going to address one thing. I think you want to do it quick. You want to save it for the next episode?
Let's do the next one.
Next one. I'm going to leave it at this. So next week we might do another episode.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm on vacation. There's a guy who owns a company called Strategic Coach, works with entrepreneurs, and they have these specific days throughout the week. And one of those days is called a free day, basically like a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
On your fun/free day, you are not allowed to do anything related to your career, business. So as a strength coach, on that free day, you shouldn't be studying, all your strength and conditioning stuff. You should be just, hanging, doing something that has zero to do with strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
Because it refreshes you. It rejuvenates you. It's very much like lifting. Can you lift 6 days a week? You can, but how good are those 6 days going to be?
Yeah.
Can you lift 3 days a week? Maybe 4? Yes. Those rest days give you that emotional break and the physical break, and then you're excited to come back. And so you need to do that with strength and conditioning. And Adam Fight always does this. he deletes his social apps for like 3 months. He goes like a full summer without it. And I can't wait till I could do that. Running a business, I utilize social media a lot, but
Yeah.
I have taken several weeks where I delete the social apps. So a little challenge for the strength coaches out there: organize some rest time. And look, sometimes a rest ball, I think, could be, in a lot of places where we live in America, you could take a 2-hour drive and be in a completely different place than where you live.
Yeah.
An hour drive sometimes, whether it's camping, something nature based, something that's just a getaway. Look, for us, we could get on an airplane and be in North Carolina in 1 hour.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
lot of opportunity to get better by actually not doing strength coach stuff. So
Absolutely.
everybody who's listening, get on over to nhssca.us and become a member. When
Yes.
you're a member, you can log into the website, and there is a professional development, which is essentially like our content area.
Mhm.
I just put in there, I sent it to Jacoby, the curriculum for strength and conditioning, phys ed. Our department chair asked me to do it. I was like, I don't have the time. I can't even breathe. He's like, listen, if you don't do this, then you're going to struggle to be given a green light to do strength and conditioning during phys ed. It will always be after school. You won't be able to pull kids out. He's like, if you want to do it year round, he's like, you could do this. I was like, I've never written it. I'll write it up and you could tighten it up. So I wrote a lot up. He tightened it up and got rid of kind of like excess.
Mhm.
So what they're getting is the big kind of picture that I wrote up for, and I didn't call it strength and conditioning. We called it things like personalized health and wellness, advanced health and fitness, so that it had to get approved by the Board of Ed. I didn't want the Board of Ed to be like, well, strength and conditioning, it's just for athletes. We can't approve this. So I made it very generalized. But of course, you could word it one way, but then when you get kids, you could do your strength and conditioning. So that is in there. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. So, and just you and I talking about our experiences with Coach McKenna, your experiences at NatCon, talk about the most ego-free, supportive, friendly, loving group that has your back is NHS SCA, period, end of story.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's not like that elsewhere. It's really not. In our group, somebody's looking for a job, somebody's moving, you got 10 to 20 emails of guys helping you and girls helping you around the country with other opportunities.
Yeah.
We're a legit family. So that's it, guys. That's all we got for you today. Talk to you soon.